Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And we know they are really groovy.
Good evening, everybody. Few actors in the history of cinema have left as intense of a mark as, yes, Sir Anthony Hopkins. That's him when he was young, by the way. We always think of him more like this, but he was young at some point. He had a career spanning over 6 decades, and he redefined the art of acting, seamlessly transitioning between stage and screen, creating a body of work that is as diverse as it is groundbreaking. Anthony Hopkins has consistently demonstrated a remarkable ability to embody characters with profound complexity and depth. He can be warm-hearted and charming or absolutely terrifying. You all know the role I'm thinking of there. He's renowned for his meticulous approach, emotional precision, and ability to command the screen with minimal effort. Yes, he's a brainiac. He's very smart. He's absolutely an intelligent actor and a conscientious, intentional actor. Anthony Hopkins has become one of the most respected and admired figures in film. And so here you go. We're going to talk with your guys about Anthony Hopkins, the guy who is known as a master of his craft, a man who has not only shaped the roles he plays, but also influenced the very way we understand the art of acting itself. So here to dissect these films, we have Manny Zamora and Rory Sans Popcorn? No Popcorn? Penland. Oh, you're on mute. Rory, you muted yourself.
Not today. So tell me, Renee, have the lambs stopped screaming?
No, please. It's too scary. The eyes, no.
That was his trick in the movie to be really creepy, was he never blinked in that. If he blinked, they had to do another take. Yeah. And that was his decision. He wanted to do that to be creepier. So you never see him blink in that first film.
Imagine being creepier. Imagine taking that character and saying, I've got to up the ante a little bit on this. I've got to be creepier. Yeah, there you go. That's the meticulousness.
Brian Cox played it the first time in Manhunter, Michael Manhunter, which is actually The Red Dragon, which was done later with, Hopkins playing Lecter again, but much older. They tried to make him look younger, but you're aware. You're aware of him. And Dr. Chilton also came back for that, and he looks much older, but under a lot of makeup and hair and stuff. Anyway, I digress. I'm fairly certain that both of us chose Silence of the Lambs as our number one. We just might as well say it right out of the gate.
We might as well, because that's exactly right. Yes. Yeah. Silence of the Lambs. There's in almost a lot of actors' careers, there's that one defining role that just everybody immediately gravitates towards. And for Anthony Hopkins, yes, that's Silence of the Lambs. Dr. Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter, who, as you mentioned, was not the first actor to play that part, but he certainly made it his own and continued through various sequels of varying quality. But and of course the role has been essayed by a few other people as well since then. But Anthony Hopkins is the one that we remember and will always remember as Hannibal Lecter. And that a role has transcended the movie that it's from when it becomes part of pop culture, when it's referenced and parodied and even spoken of by a presidential candidate the
late great Hannibal Lecter.
Exactly. So that you've done something.
And he actually came out and made a video saying, I have nothing to do with him, and I do not want him using my name or my character's name. And
get your name out of my mouth. Yeah, but yeah, that's just it's such an incredible role. And but what people don't remember, or we kind of forget because it is so memorable, he's really not in the movie that long. Maybe I think they timed it out. It's like something like 12 minutes of screen time
Right.
for the
Right.
entire run. I mean, this is
Right.
supposed to be Jodie Foster's movie, but Lecter, or really Hopkins, pretty much stole it. Just stole it right
Yeah.
from under her. And he's the one that we remember most. I don't know if anybody can even remember what the plot of the movie is, but they remember Hannibal Lecter, and they remember, eating somebody's liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti. So there you go.
And they
Yeah.
also remember it puts the lotion on its skin that places
that,
it in
yes.
the basket.
Or it gets
That's
the
the other
hose.
iconic part.
Exactly.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. Yeah.
So yeah,
He's a great character actor.
It is a very intense, creepy performance that just stays with you. I mean, and after all that he had been through up to that time, I mean, he had a bout with alcoholism, had trouble finding work in movies. That movie brought him back from the brink of disaster and made him an A-lister actor.
Gave him a second win, a second career.
He realized that. I mean, he realized when you saw him in interviews at the time, on the success of the film and on the success of his character, and what he's done since that time. If you're connected to him on social media, you might find him reading poetry or dancing, or he's just a really cool guy. And he actually wrote a letter to the cast of Breaking Bad. Actually, it's the producer of Breaking Bad, which was to be shared with the cast, saying how much he enjoyed binge watching the show and what a wonderful ensemble. It's a 3-page letter.
Yes.
And I mean, he didn't have to go out of his way to do that, but he did. And that's the kind of person he is. So, very different from the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, very different.
So, number 2.
Yeah. So, do you want me to go?
You want to talk about Silence of the Lambs more?
Well, just to say that, of course, it's not to take away from Jodie Foster and her performance as Clarice Starling, and Scott Glenn, and I forget who played Buffalo Bill, the young actor. Great, he's a wonderful character actor.
Ted Levine.
Ted Levine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Renee. Yes.
She's a Monk fan. It's on Monk.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I know him. That's the only reason I know him. I'm obsessed with Monk. Thank you. It has to do with the Shaloub, but Millie will talk about that.
Anything to deal with the Shaloub.
She's all about the Shaloub.
Lots of Shaloub. You need a lot of lube with the Shaloub. There you go. Or actually,
she's a Shaloubophile.
You don't need a lot of lube with the Shaloub. That's what it is.
We may need to put up our
oh yes, I think we are overdue for this. We are overdue
there you go.
That's what they're like.
Kids, remember to bring your lube.
Did she just say what I think she said? I'll get a picture of Tony Shalhoub looking shocked. Just give me a couple seconds. Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. So anyway, but that's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to make sure that the rest of the cast got,
the rest of the cast
got their props as well, because it's just one of the best psychological horror thrillers. Great direction from Jonathan Demme. So
it is a great cast. It really is, right down to the smallest roles.
Exactly. So all right. So number 2, hit me with it.
The Lion in Winter.
Okay.
Peter O'Toole, and it's an all-star cast. There he is. He's one of the king's sons, and Catherine Hepburn is Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Yeah.
And she's stellar in it, and of course O'Toole is stellar in it. And
Peter O'Toole. Yeah.
yeah, and a very young 17-year-old Timothy Dalton plays the King of France. And there's a scene in the movie. It's Hopkins' best scene, where you find out that he's been having an affair with the King of France.
Mm.
But he's supposed to be this warrior type, son of the
Yeah.
king, and
He's Richard the Lionheart, right? Or
right, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
You might want to look that up, but just so we don't misquote. But
Yeah.
you can tell that he's struggling, trying to share his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that the whole time, and Dalton is just fantastic. That's one of his best roles. He's been manipulating the entire family.
Mm-hmm.
And he squares off against Peter O'Toole and piss on your piece. And but again, that scene with Hopkins and him, wow, what a masterful performance, fighting, trying to share your feelings and trying to be, heroic and manly. And
Yeah.
so at that point you can see there's so much talent there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a wonderful future ahead. But the 70s were not kind to Anthony Hopkins. Not until Elephant Man.
Yeah.
He had a rough go of it in the 70s.
Yeah. I looked it up, and yes, it was Richard the Lionheart.
Yeah. And Eleanor
One of the sons of. Yeah. So.
And Nigel Terry is his youngest son, and I can't remember the other son who's the real. He's a manipulator as well. But what a wonderful cast! What a fantastic movie! A great score by John Barry. Who got him an Academy Award, I think.
Yeah.
And God, just if you're looking for a real actors movie, God, that's got to be in your top 10. It's a great actors movie. Lion in Winter.
Lion in Winter. Yeah.
That's my number 2.
Cool. John Castle, I believe, is the other actor.
You're right. You're right.
Jeff plays Jeffrey. Yeah, I just pulled it up. So it's yeah. Great.
And it's a Christmas movie.
And it's a Christmas movie.
They all come together for Christmas, and there's Effort's got a line in it like, "Oh, what family doesn't have arguments during the holidays?" or something like that.
Yeah. It's interesting because Nigel Terry would go on to play King Arthur in Excalibur.
Correct. Right. That is correct.
Yeah. With great. I'm blanking on who played Merlin.
Nicole Williamson.
Nicole Williamson and Helen Mirren.
Helen
Mirren, who apparently Williamson and Helen Mirren hated each other. Apparently, they had a feud going on, and they did not want to work together on Excalibur. But the director, John Boorman, said, "No. You're your cast. You're going to have to." And by the end of it, they buried the hatchet apparently and became the closest of friends.
Yeah.
So it worked out for them.
Cool.
But anyway, just a little digression there, a little aside. Well, my number 2 is going to be something a little bit different, although that's a great choice. For number 2, I chose The World's Fastest Indian.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I saw the picture of the poster, but I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, this is the true story of a man named Bert Monroe, a man from New Zealand, whose dream has been to race his 1920 Indian motorcycle on the Bonneville salt flats. And he's a bit of a backyard tinkerer, and he's had this motorcycle for years and years and years, and that's his dream. That So he manages to raise some money in his hometown of in New Zealand, and he comes to America. And the movie's really kind of about his journey toward this, and of course you do get to see the whole the event and what happens there, and but it's fascinating. You know, here's this man, he's, I don't know, like in his 80s or something, uh, but he has this pat, and he's a bad heart and all this, but he just perseveres. He perseveres through everything. He finally gets to Bonneville, and they won't let him race because he didn't register in time.
Oh, geez.
But fortunately, he along the way he met somebody who was in the race, or it's not really a race, but you know the trials, and he wants some befriending some people, and eventually they like, okay, they relent and they let him go through, and he meets different people along the way on his way to from Los Angeles to Utah. Yeah, that's where the salt flats are, and he breaks down a couple of times along the way. At one point, a Native American man helps him and gives him this little like good luck charm. And at one point, he meets a woman played by Diane Ladd, who helps him along the way as well. And
I haven't seen it.
It's a good movie. It's definitely what I would call a feel good movie. And Hopkins is just wonderful as a Kiwi. And in fact, whenever somebody asks him, you know, when he's in America, it's like, "Are you from England?" Because he's got the accent. It's like, "What? I'm not a Pommy. I'm from New Zealand." You know, because that's what they call Englishmen. They call them Pommies. Anyway, so yeah, and you know, you look at this bike that he has, which he's modified. It's low slung and everything. You see it in the poster. That's like the shell that he builds around it. And you think, oh my God, this thing's gonna blow up. He's gonna kill himself. He's gonna die. But no, he succeeds. It has a really happy ending. And all this takes place in the 60s, by the way. This was in around 1967 when all this, and apparently from at what it says in the end credits, the speed record that he made that day was like he went like 200 miles an hour on this thing, on this bike. Has yet to be broken, at least as of the movie, which came out. So I'm sure it has been by now, but as of the time when the movie came out, which I believe was in the 90s.
I was going to ask you, which year did that come out?
Yeah, I think it was in the 90s. Let me double check on that.
I did want to say that this really is a good testament to Anthony Hopkins' diversity. It's one of the reasons I mentioned that in the intro was because.
Actually, okay.
No, you can mention it now before you forget.
Yeah, it actually came out in 2005.
Oh,
so
wow.
Not that long ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw it when it came out, and I promptly forgot it was Anthony Hopkins until tonight when it was on the list. And I said, that was Anthony Hopkins? I can't believe it, you know?
Yeah.
So that just goes to show if he wants to play a more normal role, like he just does. He's a fantastic, a diverse actor. He doesn't, you know, there's nothing about this character that is, you know, insane or anything like that, you know, but he's memorable in one way, like Manny was talking about, but in another way, it's just really nice to remember that when Anthony Hopkins wants to do a role that you wouldn't think of, that's i.e. not Silence of the Lambs, because I think Silence of the Lambs sort of after that, everyone just thought, oh my gosh, it's kind of like Michael Emerson in Lost. He played the villain in Lost, and everyone just thought he was a creepy guy, but he's not. He's not.
Well, and again, that could have easily typecast a person, a role like that. Yeah. But he, like you say, he's such a diverse actor. He's so talented that, yeah, he can pretty much do whatever he wants, you know, and get away with it, you know.
Well, yeah,
standing and
you
know, and looks and hair and teeth.
Exactly. Yeah. and you know, the way he plays, I mean, just this sweet old man, you know. I mean, you
Yeah.
really, right from the beginning, you're rooting for him. You know, he's revving up his motorbike early in the morning, causing consternation to his neighbors, who has this young son who just finds him fascinating, and you know, he's teaching him little bits and pieces about mechanics and things. It's just it, you know, going from Silence of the Lambs to this one, it's just a very heartwarming movie, and yeah, it definitely deserves a watch. I think it's kind of flown under the radar. You know, I think people have probably forgotten about it because of more showy roles like Silence of the Lambs, but it definitely, I think, deserves a watch if you really just want to see him play somebody who's just like Renee said, just kind of a normal character, a normal guy, and a really nice guy.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, so that was my pick for number 2.
All right. My number 3, we've talked about before, The Elephant Man. Very good role as the doctor in that, who, you know, takes on John Merrick as a client and saves him from, you know, a life of servitude, you know, working in the circus. And again, it's a black and white film, but it's a very powerful film, and a very powerful performance by him and by John Hurt. Is it John Hurt?
John Hurt, yes.
Yes, I was William Hurt and John Hurt. I always get them confused. Which Hurt was it?
Two unrelated, two unrelated Hurts.
So, John Hurt is the British one. Yeah, William
Yes.
Hurt is the American one.
Right.
And then Braycroft, and we talked about, you know, Mel Brooks's involvement in it as producer and not wanting people to know that at first.
Right. Yeah.
But again, Hopkins and is it Freddie Francis or Freddie Jones plays the villain, plays the circus guy? I think it's Freddie Jones. Freddie Francis is like Jones. A cinematographer, director.
Freddie Francis is a director. Right?
Yeah.
Did a lot Jones, of the Hammer films.
Is just so good as the villain in it, you know, and Hopkins having to play off of him. It's a wonderful performance. And again, I had to keep it on the top 5 list. It's a very, very solid movie. Yeah. Yeah. But my next choice, you're going to be like, what?
So, let's see.
What's your number 3?
Well, I was just going to say, Elephant Man was on my top 5 list for a long time.
Yeah.
But there were a few others that kind of knocked it out. But that's not for any other reason. It is. It's a solid, great performance. Of course, John Hurt as Merrick, you know, having to play under all the makeup and everything, and delivering just an amazing performance as well. So
Renee, can you show that picture one more time?
I just deleted it from the thing. Yep, at the last second.
That's Anthony Hopkins as a young man. Because the picture you showed earlier, he looks like he's maybe 60. So he had the graying hair.
Yeah.
But there it is.
You know who he looks like here? He looks like Matthew Broderick, kind of from that angle. A little bit like Matthew Broderick in Glory. That's a very,
It's a great day. Let's take the car out. Let's go to the museum.
Yeah. Yeah, and this definitely was early on in his career.
It's John Merrick's day off.
I'm a very good driver. Wait a minute. It's a whole other movie. Anyway.
Bada, swing. Sorry. Ferris Bueller's Day Off fans will know what I'm talking about there. You keep calling. I'll go.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, Cameron made that movie for me. Anyway, we're digressing.
Yeah.
Let's stay on topic.
All right. So my number 3 movie
Mm.
is called Shadowlands.
Okay.
And this is a movie. It's I don't know if you'd really call it a romantic kind of movie. It does involve a relationship between Anthony Hopkins plays a real life person again in this one. He plays author C.S. Lewis, who wrote the
Okay.
Chronicles of Narnia and other
Yeah.
books. He was a
Which wardrobe that
contemporary.
was.
He's a contemporary of J.R.R. Tolkien and
Yeah.
a convert to Catholicism. You know, he was originally an atheist, but eventually he converted to Catholicism and became kind of a, you know, like most converts, became, not, I don't want to say fanatical about it, but you know, he definitely wrote a lot of books on I know, not to make light of that. And so
Religious fanatic he was.
no. Maybe fanatic was not the right choice of words, but anyway, he became more involved in the church. But anyway,
now, did Deborah Winger help him on that path, or
actually, she was also her character of Joy Grisham. She's a poet and a writer and a fan of Lewis, and she comes to England to meet him, but also we find out really she's not just there for that, but to kind of get away from her abusive alcoholic husband, who she eventually leaves. And
C.S. Lewis.
well,
I
actually,
was in the movie.
oh, okay. Well, actually, yes. Eventually, they do get married in secret, so she can remain in the country because she wants to stay in England and be as far away from her husband as possible. And she has a young son, who, you know, I mean, he's kind of okay with it, but of course, obviously, he misses home, he misses his father and all that. But and
But he gets to hang with C.S. Lewis.
But he gets to hang with C.S. Lewis, which was very excited about at first, you know, and then after a while, it's like, okay, well, it's just this old dude, this old English dude. But it's just a sweet little story of these two, you know, people. However, I do have to say, is there a movie where Deborah Winger doesn't wind up dying of cancer?
Yeah.
Because this is what happens in this story as well. She winds up being diagnosed and eventually does pass away. But before she does, they decide to actually have a formal wedding. Because before they were married by, you know, it was a
Justice of the Peace.
Justice of the League, Justice of the League, Justice of the Peace,
League.
The Justice League wedding. See, I'm thinking comic books.
Robin, hand me that Bible. Do you take?
By the power vested in me. No. But they're married by the church because, you know, he wants it to be, you know, a real wedding,
right?
Yeah, it's just this interesting story. You know, he's trying to maintain, you know, his public life. And
they wheel her in her wheelchair. She's a shell of herself, but she has her wedding.
Yeah, no, it's not quite like that, but almost. But it's a good movie, and
is she able to walk down the aisle?
No, she's bedridden, and but wait a minute.
Here I was joking.
No, she does. She does walk down the aisle. I forgot about that. Yeah, but you know, because she wants to make sure that she can do that, and then later on she does kind of collapse. But anyway, so.
But I got the ring.
Yeah, it's the one ring to bind them all. And it's interesting though that Hopkins plays C.S. Lewis in this movie, because there's another movie that he plays. In fact, it's kind of recent, where he plays Sigmund Freud, and he is counseling a young C.S. Lewis, played by Matthew Good in that movie.
Okay.
So he both gets to play that character and then play opposite somebody else playing the same character, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Okay.
And that one is called Freud's Last Session, which made my honorable mentions list.
Okay.
But anyway, if you want to see a true life story and you want to see another one that's a little heartbreaking but still a really good movie, and watching Hopkins just play the heck out of this role, I highly recommend it. It's called Shadowlands. Now,
All right.
I had problems finding this movie because I remember seeing it years and years ago when it first came out in the theater. Because I was big into Tolkien and Lewis and all those guys at the time, so I wanted to see, and plus it's Anthony Hopkins, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. But then afterwards I thought, can we please give Deborah Winger a break and not kill her off in every freaking movie? So, but anyway, was I gonna say? Oh, there's another movie with
And I'm glad they
Joss,
didn't choose the title Author and a Gentleman.
an author. Yeah, that would have been. No, there's another movie called C.S. Lewis and the Shadowlands with Joss Ackland and Claire Bloom in those characters. So, which I think was a TV movie, but that one keeps popping up if you're looking for it. But this one's just called Shadowlands, and it's Anthony Hopkins and Deborah Winger.
Hollywood just do anything original anymore.
I know.
Instead of remakes and reboots.
And John Wood and Fox are in it. Anyway, so that was my number 3.
Okay. I am flip-flopping, Renee. I'm flip-flopping my number 4 and 5.
Scandalous. This is scandalous, Rory.
Okay.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed.
Thinking more about it, I think my number 5 should be my number 4. And I can't wait to see the reaction from Manny when I tell him that it's magic from the 70s.
Actually,
which was during the
that's
time
on my list as well.
There he is as a young man. And again, he plays a ventriloquist in the film. And he's so good at it. And it's one of those movies where the director decided to, I mean, they lead you to believe that the puppet is actually like coming to life by itself, that kind of thing, or is controlling. But it's more psychological, I think. And that in the performance itself, I think was what made me move it up to number 4, was because he's having to play this guy who's struggling with this alter ego of this dummy who's kind of controlling him. And Margaret's in it. It's been a while since I've seen it, actually, but I do remember vividly how much I got scared as a kid when the commercial for this damn movie came on, and he would say, "Abracadabra, I sit on his knee. Presto, changeo, now he is me. Hocus pocus, we take her to bed. Magic is fun. We're dead." And I don't know why that freaked me out when I was a kid.
It's freaking me out right now. I can't unsee that. I'm not going to that is the scariest thing. I've never seen this movie. I've never seen that promo, but let me tell you, that is shocking.
You know, again, that really played up the movie as being a kind of a horror film.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad. You know, when you watch it, it's not as bad as all that. But the marketing team, that was such a slick, because man, that stuck. Everybody I said I've done that, you know, repeated that. She goes, "Oh, I remember that. Oh my God, yes."
Me too. Yeah. Made us go see it, didn't we?
So I actually saw it years later.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it when it was in the movie theater. I guess I was too scared. I was like a kid.
You know, I don't think
like 10 or 12.
I think I may have seen it on HBO when it came out, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
actually saw it in the
how
theater.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
It was on HBO a lot for a while there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because that was my number 5 as well, or is my number 5. So,
what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is, well, refresh my memory because sometimes I forget. Actually, interestingly enough, my number 4 is The Bounty.
Okay.
Yet another version of Mutiny on the Bounty
Mutiny on the
with
Bounty.
with Anthony Hopkins playing Lieutenant
Mel Gibson.
William Bligh and Mel Gibson as Fletcher Christian. Now, supposedly this one is actually much more historically accurate as far as what actually happened on the bounty and all that. But that aside, whether that's true or not, I think Hopkins' performance as Bligh, I would put that up against any of the other ones that I've seen.
Really?
Whether it's Charles Lawton, whether it's Trevor Howard.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is, I think, because the other two kind of make Bligh the villain almost right off the bat. You really kind of don't like the guy. He's still too stiff, too much of a martinet. Exactly. Yeah. Hopkins, you actually you like the character at the beginning because he seems really nice and he's friends with Fletcher with Christian. And it's only once they get underway and get deeper into the story and they reach the islands and everything, and when everything kind of starts going wrong, and that's when the sort of the kind of the view of Bligh as this tyrant comes to emerge. But you kind of see why that happens. You kind of see him unravel. Yeah. He sees that, he's absolutely losing control, and he's trying to kind of reel everybody back in, but he sees his authority slipping away. He sees, the men kind of slipping into, going native almost. And so you kind of understand why he does the things that he does. But you also see the other side of him, the almost heroic side when they are exiled, when they put him on the boat and send him off, and how he keeps those men together and keeps them alive until they reach, a safe port and all that. And the whole thing is framed. Of course, he's put up on a he's being interviewed by, I guess, kind of a review board, like, how did you wind up losing your ship, basically? What led up to that? And so he's telling the story of what happened. And, it's Laurence Olivier is the admiral that's overseeing this. Edward Fox is another captain, or another admiral, I should say.
Mr. Christian and the men, they found Polynesian women.
Yeah. And so he's explaining to them, no, we were friends at first.
Set me off.
Yeah. So but it's just a great performance from him. And like I said, this is probably one of my favorite versions of this story. I mean, I did like the one with Marlon Brando. I thought that was really good, but this one felt more authentic. And oddly enough, and I didn't even realize this until afterwards, they're directed by the same person, by Roger Donaldson. This movie and my number 2, The World's Fastest Indian, were both directed by Roger Donaldson, who is an Australian director. So,
okay.
And it was just pure coincidence that happened. But so both brilliant, beautifully directed films, and really get into characters.
And to my discredit, when it came out, I refused to see it because it had Mel Gibson as the star in it. And I was like, I looked at the poster, I was like, come on, no way. The Road Warrior? Come on. Stop remaking this movie and stop putting stupid actors in these roles. I said, okay, Hopkins is okay, but Mel Gibson? So yeah, I never saw it, and I never got around to getting around to seeing it again.
He's not. No. Forget the Road Warrior. Gibson's character in this one, his version of Fletcher Christian, is actually really, really good. It's a much more subtle performance than you would give him credit for.
Again, I hated Brando and Trevor Howard in the roles because I was just too entrenched with not Cary Grant,
Clark Gable and
Fletcher Christian. And Charles Lofton, Mr. Christian.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's the one everybody. Yeah, that's the one. But
So I knew
no,
it would be doubly so if I saw
yeah,
this one. There's like, no, just
I
please stop trying to perfect perfection.
I
But you like this one, so maybe
I
I'll give
liked
it
it.
a gander.
Give it a look. Give it a look. You may not change your mind. You may hate it after it's like, no, I was right the first time. But
Damn you, Manny!
and there's a nice performance.
Why did I
from
watch this stupid Indian motorcycle film?
that one too?
He has an
there's
accent with Manny. Like it's a whole new character who's aggrieved by Manny. There's Rory aggrieved by Manny, which is its own entity. I love that.
That's great. But no, I was going to say
That's 2
there's
hours
also,
of my life I'm never getting back, Manny.
that's probably what you're saying. Liam Neeson's also in the movie.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He's a young Liam Neeson, and I would almost equate him to the Richard Harris character from the Brando film. You know, he's
Okay.
that kind of the sailor under, you know, but you know, nice little performance from him. The whole cast is really good, and because this was made later, you know, when ratings were a little bit more, things were a little more lax. Lots of semi-naked native
Polynesian
women,
girls.
Polynesian girls. So
Wow.
if that doesn't get you to see the movie, anyway, so
You had me and put him in a boat. Send him off.
Set him off. Yeah.
Just to
So,
watch Anthony Hopkins be put in a boat and set off with a couple of guys.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, so that was my number 4, and my number 5 we talked about. It was Magic.
Magic. My number 5 now is the Thor films. Him playing Odin. Now,
Yes.
I'll tell you,
Hey, look at
not
that.
only does he play a god, but he in one movie he's playing Loki pretending to be him, which is really interesting to watch his performance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
being Loki, being him, and you know, he gets a death scene in one of them. He does. He's fun to watch as Odin. He really is. And the Thor films. You know,
I do want to say this. I want to say that this is like fun stuff. I absolutely love it. But I love how Anthony Hopkins goes public. Like, I don't know when he went public with this, but he basically panned his acting in these movies. He was like, this sucks. It was insipid. And it's not acting at all. Like, he just, like, why did he do that? What is the point? Like, I guess, yeah. So he did the movies and then was like,
art. Expensive art.
That's what it is. So I think that's funny. So at some point, if you Google like Anthony Hopkins Thor, you'll read all about it. And he was very vocal about it. He's like, this is not acting. Like, this is horrible. But it's so fun and I love it. I love it.
Again, if you watch his videos on social media, like when he's dancing and stuff in his house, on the back walls behind him, there's this, you know, there are these awesome art pieces that, you know, he must have spent, you know, millions on, if I mean, hundreds of thousands minimum, probably millions. So I totally get his motivation. You know, you're a collector. All right, you got to do a couple of movies that are kind of like mainstream just to make, you know, the millions to buy your art. You know,
well, it's like Nicolas Cage goes bankrupt every 7 years or something because he has to buy like 14,000 Jaguars, you know, and then he just does a good movie.
He buys property too. He buys a lot of property.
And he does Wicker Man, and it's all okay for another 3 years. It's fantastic.
The beast. Never. You know, and you know what? And I know this is a bit of a digression. What's really disappointing about the Wicker Man remake is that it was directed by Neil Jordan, who directed Interview with the Vampire, which is just one of the top tier vampire movies, and some other really good movies as well. And so I really don't know why this one went so far off the rails. And I've got to blame Cage for that.
It's Nicolas Cage. I was about to say, wait a minute. You don't understand why it went off the rails? Really?
No, yeah.
It's Nicolas Cage. I want to punch her in the face.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm sure the script is probably, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like this really good script, nice different version of the story, and then you get Nicolas Cage playing this character. So yeah, you're right. I should not have been surprised by that. But anyway, all right.
That's Hollywood,
So
man.
this
Big
Hollywood.
strange
Yeah,
bedfellows.
yeah. But I gotta say, talking about the Marvel movies and Thor and all that, you got to give Marvel credit. Whatever you feel about the movies, they do manage to get some top tier like name actors in their movies. Anthony Hopkins, Robert Redford, William Hurt. Yeah, because they'll pay the
Yeah.
buck to get those
Especially when
name
Disney took
actors.
over. When Disney took over, man, they were just shelling out money hand over fist to people because they were
Yeah,
making billions.
yeah.
They were
So
making films for, oh, geez, the higher the price tag, the more the marketing. I mean, it was like,
yeah.
oh well, this one cost 500 million, but they made over $1 billion. They doubled their profit on it usually.
Oh yeah, yeah. But all that aside, going back just to Thor itself,
Hmm.
I thought he was great as
I-
Odin Allfather.
Yeah,
Uh, and I believed
he
it. I
was.
believe that this would have been this that he's a Norse god.
It's on my top 5 list. He was good. He was awesome in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was
So
4 for a minute there. So, all right, we
yeah.
get to our. Did you do your number 5?
Magic
Magic. Okay.
was my number 5. Yeah,
Let's do our
for all the
honorable
same
mentions.
reasons. All the same reasons that you did. Yeah.
Okay, this one was at the bottom of my list, but it should be at the top, and that's Audrey Rose, another one of his 70s movies that he did
Mm,
while in the throes of alcoholism. So you have to admire the fact that he got through it and gave a solid performance.
hmm
That was totally watchable. Um, it's a psychological thriller.
hmm
And he does a very good job with what he has in it. So
Yeah.
it deserves a nod.
Yeah. I always remember it as being kind of like sort of a possession type movie, but yeah, it's very psychological, very
Yeah.
you really kind of wondered, okay, or multiple personalities kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very good. I
Um,
forgot to add this one to my list, but I'm going to throw it out there
Mm.
because originally it was Thor, or actually the Thor franchise up to Ragnarok, where you said he had his death scene,
Yeah.
was one that I'd forgotten about, and it was originally going to be on my top 5, but then I kind of forgot about it. Is Hitchcock, where he plays Alfred Hitchcock, and the making of Psycho, and him trying to get Psycho made and as his next movie. And it's a guy who, and again, it's talking about somebody at the not I don't say tail end of their career, but somebody who's kind of had their career kind of slow down. And at that point, Hitchcock's career as a director had kind of the movies weren't doing as well as they had been earlier on, and so he needed something to really kind of bring him back. And somebody, I think his wife or his agent, said, well, there's this book called Psycho written by Robert Bloch, and you ought to take a look at it. And I think it would make a really interesting movie. And so it's like, well, all right, I'll check it out, And what I like is that Hopkins, he doesn't try to do an impression of Hitchcock. He doesn't try to absolutely do the voice, but you definitely get the cadence from it. And it's just a really good performance, and it's really kind of a nice little behind the scenes of movie making. And also, his wife helped him a lot with a lot of his movies, and was kind of uncredited for being screenwriter, and she wanted to have a career of her own as well. So there's a little kind of a domestic story going on. And of course, that they touched on Hitchcock's eye for blondes, and his
Tippi
hiring
Hedren.
of Tippi Hedren, actually Grace Kelly is the icy blonde that got away, and every other blonde in his movies is basically, replacement for Kelly. Of course, in this one we had Janet Leigh, played in the movie by Scarlett Johansson, and I don't know who plays not Tony Perkins, but the guy looks like Anthony Perkins, like a young Anthony Perkins. And of course, they got the writer Joseph Stefano, played again by another actor. Anyway, it's a fascinating story, and a nice little kind of bit of Hollywood, kind of a look behind the scenes, like I said, and just a classic, the making of a classic movie, horror movie. But anyway, I felt like that needed to be mentioned, so that's one of my honorable mentions.
I love the concept of that movie, but I was very aware of the impression, and that really kind of tainted it for me. And
Really?
this is why this leads into all of my other honorable mentions beautifully, because they should not let him do biographies. They should not let it. The only time that he got away with doing a biographical character, because we don't really know what the real one sounded like, and that was Amistad, where he played John. Did he play John Quincy Adams?
John Quincy Adams. Yeah,
John Quincy Adams, and his dialogue and stuff in that was superb. He doesn't have a lot of the time in the movie. I mean, but he is superb in the performance. Now, with that said, Hitchcock, I was very aware that he was doing an impression of Hitchcock, and it just really grated on my nerves and agitated me.
What about when he played Adolf Hitler?
The bunker is next. We went back. Yeah. There's aspects of that performance that I really like when he's shooting the home movies and he's doing a little dance and everything. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, when he's doing the over the top Fuhrer, my God.
That's why it became a meme. That 999. Yeah.
There's even a worse one. Nixon.
Oh, Nixon.
Oh my God. He was who was the David Fry used to do the really over the top impersonation of Nixon in the 60s. Yeah. He's still alive, I think. That's what I felt Hopkins was doing in Nixon. He was doing the over the smile just before he goes out into the room, and oh my God, that just drove me nuts. So don't let him do biographies.
Yeah, well. Check out Shadowlands, where he plays C.S. Lewis, because we don't know what it sounded like, and it's a very and World's Fastest Indian again these are real life people, so and he does a really good Kiwi accent.
And Bounty for the Naked Polynesian.
And Bounty, Nixon didn't even make my list. I thought,
it's infamous.
I'm like, of all, why would you hire a British actor to play, this American president? Nothing. I mean, British actors have played American roles before, and vice versa.
I'll tell you, when it comes to casting Nixon, Hollywood, my God, they've cast the weirdest people to play Nixon. Dan Hedaya played Nixon in a movie with, I think, the Elvis thing with Nixon and Elvis, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I like Ron Howard's Frost, Nixon and Frost, but I still thought that even though he's a fine actor, he's a great actor. Frank Langella didn't look like Nixon. I mean, they did the hair, but they do the hair on Saturday Night Live, and it's not, it's not the character. I mean, fully. I mean,
was it Dan Aykroyd? He still had the mustache.
Dan Aykroyd,
like Nixon, yeah.
But yeah, even his impersonation was better than the guys that do it in the movies.
Yeah.
So that I don't think they've nailed it yet. I don't think they've found the perfect actor to play Nixon in a film. Excuse me, my God, where did that come from?
Residual peach tea.
But actually, I was drinking grape drink tonight. Anyway.
Okay.
But I've been hiccuping a lot out of nowhere, and I'm worried that that's a thing with the heart attack I just had a couple of months ago. Is that a thing with that? Do you hiccup just out of nowhere with no reason? Because I haven't taken a drink in like 10 minutes. Anyway, I ran out of drink. But no, I don't think Hollywood has cast the perfect Nixon yet.
No.
Langella was close, but they should have put some more makeup on him, I think, to make him look more like Nixon.
Yeah. I mean, they keep trying, but
again, it looks too much like the actor, not enough like Nixon.
Yeah.
Now you get Rick Baker doing it, they would look like freaking Nixon, but he's retired.
Yeah. All right. So, what are some of your other?
That's it. Those are my honorable mentions.
Okay. Well, I have to go back to his earlier period when he was doing all these highbrow merchant ivory films. Howard's End, Remains of the Day, which I always get this confused, but they're really good films. I mean, they're really beautifully shot. A bit slow, but Remains of the Day is actually probably one of the better.
Which is the one where he plays the father, and he's upset that his daughter is dating, like, I can't remember if it's Brad Pitt or Keanu Reeves.
Brad Pitt. Oh, that's something of the Fall.
Oh yeah. Legends of the Fall.
Legends of the Fall. Like yes.
Yeah.
That one.
That almost made my honorable mention list, but I haven't seen it in forever. I mean, it's been so long, and I was laughing the whole time I saw it. I was like, "Oh, come on!"
I thought about that one. Yeah,
this is just too dramatic or too over dramatic.
Yeah.
He was a really unlikable character though. In that, he was just too protective.
Yeah. But. Yeah, early Brad Pitt and Aidan Quinn's in it, and Hopkins. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I know we talked about this before the show. I really want to see The Edge. I've never seen it, and it just looks really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's him and Alec Baldwin out in the woods hunting each other or something like that. That's what it looks like, from the press and the posters and stuff. So it's like the most dangerous game. That's the
dangerous game. That's the one, not
the most dangerous game, because we talked about this before, and you said
I thought it was Naked Prey.
The Naked Prey, which was a Cornell Wilde film, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why I saw that film like 4 or 5 times when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, it kept coming on TV. They would run that son of a bitch like every year. They would run it, and I'd always end up being home and not in school at the time. It was always shown in the daytime, I think, and. Yeah, I mean, emblazoned in my mind, Cornell Wilde running away from all those natives.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was the most dangerous game.
It's the most dangerous game, which they've done a lot of movies. They've done a take on that. I mean, Octopussy being the one that comes to mind right away.
Mm-hmm.
With Louis Jourdan hunting Bond.
Right, yeah.
Mr. Bond is indeed a very rare breed, soon to be made extinct. No, ma'am, I'm with the economy tour. And that was why it got so much flack from the fans, was because Roger Moore played that whole thing for laughs. He did the Tarzan thing, and he did the snake. He goes, hiss off, and the tiger pops out. He goes, sit. So everybody was like, "Come on, man! Can you take this seriously just for a few seconds?"
Yeah.
So they played that whole thing for laughs, and the fans did not like that. So it's on a lot of people's like the bottom of their list for Bond films. I liked it. I enjoyed the film.
Yeah,
I thought it was one of Roger Moore's better ones. That and Spy Who Loved Me. But anyway, again, we digress. We're talking Hopkins.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and also it had competition from
Never Say Never.
Never Say Never Again with the original Bond, Connery, coming back in that role, and
what a story that was.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. All the behind the scenes wrangling and legalistic stuff. You know, well, I have the rights to this story, and I'm going to make this movie. And
Kevin McClory. And
Kevin
then Jack
McClory.
Schwartzman got involved, the legal lawyer. Oh, who's going to win that battle?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But anyway,
And we got Connery back for one more shot. So
we got Connery back. Yeah.
and
And I like the fact that they acknowledged that he was older, that he was, you know, that he
Oh, yeah.
wasn't the guy from 20 years earlier. So I
yes.
thought that was, you know, that was
And
good.
Klaus Maria Brandeur has a great Largo.
Yeah.
Kim Basinger,
One of her first
Vernon
roles, I think.
Casey,
Yeah.
Barbara Carrera,
Barbara Carrera. Yeah.
Fatima
I
Blush.
kept wanting to say Tia Carrera, but no, that's somebody
No.
else. Barbara Carrera.
She's another actress, and again, and she's in Hawaii, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We could talk about
Anyway.
Bond for days. Seriously.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We did the earlier Connery films. Have we done the later films?
We did Roger Moore
We did Roger Moore films.
because he had
Okay.
more. There was more.
Yes. Roger Moore did more than all the
But
others.
we didn't do the later ones with Brosnan or
Okay. Dalton, Brosnan.
Dalton
Craig.
Brosnan and Craig, you know.
Yeah.
We could
We should do that soon.
put them together, do one, you know,
Yeah.
there's plenty to choose
Oh,
from
that's
there.
going to be a fun one after the last one. No Time to Die. Oh, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Thanks for nuking him. Nice.
I you know, and I really wasn't sure if they were going to go there, but they did.
They went there.
They went there.
And
you
the
know.
fans, oh, they loved it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
Well, now they get to start fresh. Now there's the hunt for a new Bond. From what I hear,
they waited too long already, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be back. Bond will be back. They're not going to kill.
But I think their audience is still really tainted on.
Kind of moved on. Yeah.
They better.
I mean-
it should be a hell of a marketing to market that thing whenever it comes out.
Yeah. So,
All right. So
All
what do we
right.
got coming up?
So on our next episode, we're going
Yes.
to do a director that I've been wanting to get to for a while,
Mhm.
and I feel like, you know, it's time. It's time to get on the Quentin Tarantino wagon.
Okay.
So, you know, and not that many to choose from this time.
Yeah.
He has kind of a limited.
I only think we're going to have a couple of titles on the honorable mention list.
Exactly,
It's only done, what,
exactly.
8 or 10 films?
Yeah,
that.
9. Yeah, about 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
and
So we'll talk about all of Quentin Tarantino's films next week.
we'll probably yeah.
The next episode of Roland Pruitt's Kaiju Review, they're going to do Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And on the next Big Monster Briefing
Monster.
Room, they're going to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas. It's time to do some Christmas horror films. And Alana Lange will be the guest speaker, the guest on the commentator on the show that day. And
Nice.
that's Thursday.
Awesome.
So, again, if
Oh,
you're
she's
watching
fun.
in post, you can find them on Twitch, X, YouTube.
Pretty much most of the big social media gin joints.
What's your poison?
What's your poison? All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Two Guys and a Gal talking about movies, talking about Anthony Hopkins.
Where's our gal?
Yes, where's our gal?
I'm
Where's
right
our-
here. I'm right here. I'm here.
Any final thoughts? Our gal?
No, I think we hit them all. I'm excited about Quentin Tarantino next week. I got some strong opinions, so I'm very excited.
Excellent. Excellent. I always love it when you have strong opinions.
Such as with what's his
Stronger
name?
the better.
What was it? What was his Marlon Brando? Yes. Such as with Marlon Brando.
If he's got his shirt off, it's on my top 5 list.
There you go. Exactly.
That's going to be the
Awesome.
interesting thing about the Quentin Tarantino show is what picks are going to make 1, 2, 3, and 4 for us in 5. Will they all be the same? Will they be completely different? Oh my God, you thought that was number 1? Well, really? So there it is.
Yeah.
What? That didn't make your list? That's where I think it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be another The Bounty. You made me watch this stupid. I can't wait.
Polynesian Girls. Wait a minute.
See? Yeah, I got you with the Polynesian Girls. No, go see the movie. If you hate it, if you love it, whatever, that's fine. But I enjoyed it. Mr. Christian.
Yeah,
So.
whatever you say, mate. Look at them Polynesian girls. Come on, mate. We're going ashore.
Exactly. All righty. So, thank you again, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.